This show has always been about America and just old school common sense. It's not about left or right. He called a lid at 10 a.m. today. It's more about right or wrong. It's about cutting through the noise and finding the truth.
It's uncomfortable talking about all of this stuff.
Finding things we have in common, not what divides us. It's about we the people. We do news. We do sports. We do entertainment. And we have a damn good time in the process.
It is Monday. I'm Drew Berquist. This is my show, and it's been a damn long time, no doubt. So good to see all of you guys coming in.
This show has always been about America and just...
Let's do it again. Let's do it again. We're figuring out how to do it. I mean, you go on this long of a break. Yeah. I mean, they say it's like riding a bike. I'm not so sure that's true.
It was more of a sabbatical.
A sabbatical. That was, yeah. Yes, we were, Tom's back in studio this week. So fun to have him here.
We're doing research on our sabbatical.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. It's been great. It's been good. I know it's taken some time, longer than we anticipated. Not going to get into all the whys and the hows and all of that kind of stuff. We don't have time for that. We don't have time. We're just glad to be back with you guys. I can't tell you how pumped I am to be back with you guys. And if you hear me shouting at any point today, one, it's just because I'm excited, like I just said, to be with you. But two, I've got like swimmer's ear or something. I threw one of my girls in the pool last night, then all of them ended up, and then I ended up in, and now I can't hear out of my left ear. So it's going to be like a nursing home episode today. Huh? What'd you say? Let's get into it. We got a lot that we're going to cover today. We got Trump, who just blew the lid off of UFC. Always does this. Always does. He goes to these events. This one was no different. Fighters getting involved, coming out. We're going to show you clips. We're going to talk about it. We had a clash of liberals, wokeness colliding in Philadelphia as the Pride Parade was happening there. We've got an amazing moment from last week, which is old news. You've probably seen it. But justice was served and hilarity ensued. So I think it's important that we talk about it. We're going to talk about it. There's some Caitlin Clark drama. Never thought we'd be talking WNBA on this show, but here we are, folks. We're going to do it today, and you're going to enjoy it because there's some real meaty parts to it, for sure. We've got the ladies' version of John Daly the golfer, which is amazing. I don't know if have you seen those clips?
I have not seen the clips yet.
You're gonna enjoy the hell out of this, bro. This is gonna be great. Trump, we're gonna come back to Trump because he started a TikTok account. Friggin' brilliant. Blew it up. We'll talk about that. There's all sorts of other stuff. LGBTQ Pride Month has started is everywhere, but in sports, there's some teams that aren't participating, though. We're gonna tell you which teams aren't participating. But before we get into all that, guys, we gotta share some love to some sponsors here. Let's face it, the current geopolitical...
Because we're trying this new thing out, and you've hit the ad. The ad right now is up on the screen for this 1775 thing. So,
well, let's go full screen at least for the other.
Yeah. But I'm just saying right now it's up. There's a QR code if you want to read it, so we can hit complete, and then we can get done with it.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So no, we're doing some stuff with 1775 coffee. Coffee comes in medium, dark roast, all sorts of stuff. But it's time to say goodbye, guys. To Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, whatever you do, say hello to Rumble 1775 coffee. It's good stuff. It's good stuff supporting good people. Unlike other brands, this is a coffee that backs free speech and is unapologetic about it. So visit 1775coffee.com. Use the promo code STUDIO to get 15% off. The coffee, again, like I said, comes in medium and dark roast. It also comes in pea berry, which is similar to a Kona coffee. In other words, the stuff is premium. It's legit. Check out the link in the live chat. You can also see it in the description. You can also just go directly to 1775coffee.com. Use the promo code STUDIO, STUDIO, to get 15% off today. All right. As I was starting to say before,
sorry.
Again, all sorts of new stuff going on here. It's a new day, new week, new kind of version of the show. But we got to give some love to Genesis Gold Group, okay? Because let's face it, as I was starting to say, the current geopolitical situation, not so good. not so good under this administration. The economy hasn't exactly inspired confidence, I think we can all agree. And as a result, Americans like you are concerned about their retirement savings, and for good reason. But there's good news. Gold has held its value since the dawn of mankind. And did you know that gold is mentioned in every book of the Bible from Genesis through Revelation? As a faith-driven precious metal company, which is why we signed up with them, Genesis Gold Group helps Americans protect their life savings from the threats facing our nation. And here's what I love about it. They don't do gimmicks. They don't do crazy stuff like the big gold companies do. They don't insult your intelligence with absurd claims of $10,000 in free silver, or you can get a free this, a free pony. Guys, nothing's free. We all know that. Instead, they actually want you. They actually want customers to be fully aware of all options, not just the ones that benefit the seller, and they educate you all along the way. So get your free definitive gold guide to get started and learn more about investing in gold and protecting your retirement from uncertain times. Visit goldwithdrew.com now. Fill out the basic contact form, and a member of the team will be in touch. Again, it's goldwithdrew.com. You can also see it in the show description. Okay, so Trump, look, we've been on break. Obviously, a lot going on with Trump, a lot going on with the election. Charged last week. Not going to rehash that nonsense because it is nonsense, but it's old news. You've watched a dozen shows, read a million articles, all of that. But it's a big story, and the way we're going to tackle it a little bit today is what's happened since. Because again, you know that if you watch this show a lot, you know that I don't care. I don't care where you're at. I don't care if you're a big Trump guy, not a big Trump guy. That's your call. That's your call. You do you. But since this happened, first of all, you should have a problem, even if you're not a Trump guy, with what's going on with our justice system.
The weaponization of the justice system?
Lack thereof. I mean, it's been completely weaponized. It is a kangaroo court. We're a banana. You heard all the things. They're all true because that's what's happening. It's scary what's happening. But you see what's happened since then, and I think it's remarkable because the left is out there celebrating. Oh, and this is literally, of all the cases, the most BS, maybe tied for the most BS case. Gets charged 34 counts or 34 convictions, and then that night raises $34.8 million, which has now skyrocketed to over $50 million as a result. So the left is celebrating, and Trump's out there winning. And then he goes to UFC 302, goes to this event, lots of fights going on, big fanfare as usual, walks in, the arena goes absolutely nuts. And then after one of the fights, you have Sean Strickland, who's a pretty big name. If you're a UFC guy, you know who Sean Strickland is, who wins and then talks about, he said, well, let's just take a listen. He says this.
President Trump, you're the man, bro. It is a damn travesty what they're doing to you. I'll be donating to you, my man. Let's get it done.
Let's get it done. Congratulations, sir. Sean Strickland, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it. Sean Strickland's, and not just speaking. Look, we've seen UFC fighters come out, shake his hand. A lot of that happened the other night as well. Folks made sure they were acknowledging Trump and his presence there.
Kevin Holland climbed over
Yeah.
the octagon to get out to
shake his hand. Yeah, big deal. But Strickland is saying, and look, I mean, Strickland has been outspoken as of late, but he said there, I'm donating. I got your back, and a lot of other people did. $50+ million in the first day or so after those bogus convictions that happened last week. It's amazing.
You know, the funny thing is, and you brought it up, as far as, everything that's going on with the judicial system and how we have two separate systems. And you look at, since Trump's conviction, if you look through social media, the same people who are like, wear a mask, you have to wear a mask, you have to get vaccinated. Oh, you've got 5 people in your backyard, I'm calling the police. Those are the same people who are celebrating Trump's conviction with nobody's above the law. It's funny how it's an exact parallel of the same people. It's just like when they talk about the divided nation, you don't get more divided than that.
Right.
When it's the exact same people who fall on the same side of differing topics.
No, you don't. You don't.
But it's that the same people who, who didn't feel sorry for people who didn't get the job. It's like, well, you deserve it. You don't have to work and this and that. I'm glad you lost your job. They're the same ones who don't care that the judicial system is totally corrupt because the orange menace has now been a convicted felon.
Well, and the thing too is that because I see people doing this all the time. Wrong camera, my bad. Getting back into the swing of things. No, I see it all the time too. Is people are like, "Oh, this is really good." It's like, well, wait, what if they did this to you? Oh, they wouldn't do it to me. Well, this is showing that they can do it to you.
That's what I was about to say before you said that. It's always really easy and convenient to be like, "This was great. I totally support it." Yeah, until your weaponized government, which is what we have right now, very sadly in this country, is turned against you. It's a totally different, and you can say that with any issue. Anything that we've been talking about on the show forever and a day, and will continue to. It's just that's it. Is you can't get out of. They can't get out of their own way. Can't get out of their own way, and it's remarkable. And
speaking of UFC 302, after Islam, I'm going to devour his name here. Makhachev. After he retained his lightweight title, he also talked to Trump, and he pleaded with him and said, if you get back in office, please do what you can to stop the fighting in Israel with the Palestinians. So it's not just, it was unusual to see fighters from different walks of life looking at Trump as, in Strickland's case, of somebody who's getting screwed by the system, and I think Kevin Holland felt the same way.
Yep.
But then you had Islam, going out and pleading his case of, how he thinks Trump could help if he's returned to the presidency.
Yeah. Well, that crowd. Look, there's been a lot of people talking about this, obviously. But that crowd loves him. But that crowd it really is America. And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not like a huge UFC guy. I do like it. I will watch it periodically. I just don't plan my schedule around it.
Yeah, you'll watch the big fights, but not every fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll watch the big ones. Like you say, these two are going up against sure, I'm in. You give me a chance to sit around and watch some dudes fight, eat some beer and wings. Absolutely. But I think that there is something to be said for this. You see football crowds. You saw it all last year during college football, particularly in the Southeast, but really everywhere. You see this with UFC. You see so many spots. We'll take the kids to WWE wrestling events. You'll see it, lesser extent, but you'll see it there. That's an amazing crowd, by the way. If you just want to people watch, go to you might not like WWE, that's fine. I'm not saying you need to be a pro wrestling fan. Obviously, I grew up with it. I like it. I like the storylines, whatever. Judge me. I don't care. But we'll and the kids are super into it, so it makes us more into it. That's a crowd that's just like, did you see that match? Nope. I've just been watching section 104 over there.
You should have gone to WWE events during the Attitude Era. Oh my!
I did.
How was that?
It was wild. And I tell you what. Segue. Give me a second here. They're going back to it, bro. They're going back to it hardcore because Triple H, who was part of the Attitude Era, is now in charge and running things, chief of content over there. And you can see everyone's talking about it too. And there's a little bit more deviant behavior, shall we say?
Risque.
Well, and that was the thing I missed. I stopped watching because I felt like there was no villain. There was no villain. There was some bad guys, but there was no villain organization or group that was coming in. Now they've been building it up for years now, and it's been fun to watch. As you see there's bad guys now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Male soap opera with fighting, says Ginger. 100%. Texas, damn glad to see you, my friend. Good to see all of you guys. But point being is, you get to Trump and UFC, you get these crowds, and it really is telling. I understand that the left has the media, they have big tech, they have so many things at their disposal, which is how they've been able to do things for so long. And to their credit, I always say this, and I mean it, they fight. They care about results, and they're willing to do anything to get results. That's why they win. Our side's like, I hope this changes. I hope for the best. Can you believe what's going on? Are you doing anything about it? No. That's our side. I'm not saying you guys in the audience, but collectively, our side's full of just chock full of pussies. That's what we've got. Like, it's just people who are comfortable and they want to be comfortable. And I get it. Who doesn't want to be comfortable? But that's what we've got. But you see this, and I don't know how they don't think or they don't see on the other side as much as they play the game. And I understand the answer is they just don't care. They're going to just play harder, and they'll keep saying, okay, that didn't work, so we got to go here. That didn't work, okay, we got to go here. And let's not talk about what that last option is because it's not a good one. But I don't see how they don't think that this only builds up his lore more.
It does. The more popular that he gets, the more collective punishment the rest of us feel. You know, this whole what they're doing with the economy. There's part of me that actually believes that they're doing it on purpose just to punish everybody. It's like, oh, you're a Trump supporter, or you didn't vote for our guy, you didn't vote for Biden, so, oh, you didn't get vaccinated? We're going to take it out on everybody now. Yeah. And you saw that during COVID. You know, when Biden took office, it was like, you know, we need to get 95% vaccinated so we can get back, you know, to normal. And the unvaccinated, they're the ones. They're the reason why we still have lockdowns. They're the reason why kids still aren't in school. So this whole idea that's how the left works everything is through collective punishment.
Yeah. No, it is. That's their MO. By the way, we're learning how to redo our show because we've been off for a while, and then also our air conditioner went out. I can't hear out of my left ear. It's just kind of a Monday.
Well, while we're here too, people have been asking in the chat here, are you standing?
I'm standing. See, I mean, I can just hit the button and then. Yeah, I'm standing. I hate sitting. If we're doing a sit-down dinner with my family, I'm obviously, there's times where it's appropriate, but I just don't like it. Like if we're doing a casual meal where everyone's like, you know, just kind of like buffet style, then I take my stuff, I stand in my corner, and I don't know if it's because I have too much nervous energy. It's because I'm getting old and have issues, my back pain or whatever. But I prefer standing.
I do too, especially at home, and it drives my wife insane because I will get like a pizza or no matter what it is, a sandwich or whatever, stand in the kitchen and stand over the sink and eat. So if anything drops, it falls into the sink and I can just wash it down the drain.
There you go.
Yeah, I have found that if I see you sitting, you're not feeling good. So there's even been times I've been over at your house, like eating dinner, and you're like sitting, and I'm like, he should be standing. Like
something's wrong. He's dying. No, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, Barb, I did that. I did rubbing alcohol in the ear. I did this like swimmer ear thing. I did a mixture of vinegar, 50-50 of vinegar and hydrogen peroxide. This bitch just won't quit. Like it won't drain.
How about tomorrow? Have you tried the ear candles? Have you tried those before?
No.
I have a few. We'll bring them and we'll film a video where you put your head down, you put a candle and you burn it, and you just let it burn, and it sucks all the shit out of you. Yeah.
You know what? I'll be glad to get the plunger out of the bathroom here and see if we can, put it to the side of your head.
I can't wait.
Option B.
Sounds so good. So good. Okay, let's continue on. We all know that we're in the month of gay. It's Pride Month, and you know that I'm not a fan of it. Let's just make every month America Month. That's kind of like my thought. And I'm not trying to be mean to that community either. I don't like any month when it's forced upon us and we're told that we got to celebrate things for a day, let alone a whole month. But there was this Pride parade that happened in Philadelphia, and you had this just clashing of woke groups, right? Things got really interesting because you had the LGBTQ community who's marching and doing their parade. It was about their whole concept. It was a pride parade. And then they met some pro-Palestinian protesters who, no doubt, most of them in some similar circles, and they met, and the pro-Palestinians blocked them. Let's take a look. So they're just literally the left seating their own. They're just, I mean, this is. I found it really remarkable. I don't even have a whole lot to say other than this is fantastic. I mean, the response, too, from some of the people at the front of the Pride Parade, just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And the hairy back of the dude at front. I mean, I feel good about my back hair now. Like that, like you could tell, like he was a meaty dude.
The bear with the leather vest on.
Yeah,
The bear.
like his name. That's probably his grind name, the bear.
The bear.
I mean, I think it makes sense.
Well, I mean, you've got twinks and bears, and he's clearly a bear. You know, dressed like one of the dude from the Village People.
He was. Yeah, he a dude who just, yeah. But I thought it was fascinating. And then we got to just touch on this before we get into some of the other stuff here. This is the one I was telling you about. This was from last week. And it's, side point, it's been painful being on break this long because there's been a lot of stuff happening. Like, oh my gosh, I want to talk about this story. This one last week, I feel like we could still work in. By the way, when we do memes on Thursday, just buckle up because there's like 700. It's good.
I was going to say, I think the whole episode should be just memes.
We might do that, or we might just do a separate That's Meme-tastic. I don't know. We'll figure out how we're going to do it because my folder's huge.
Yeah, I got a bunch, like Ginger, Jill. A lot of people found me on Facebook and Instagram. And they just start, and they just keep sitting. I love it. They just keep sitting. I'm like, saving it.
Bro, I have gone deep into the web to get memes.
That's scary, yeah.
You're going to be traveling that day, right? I mean, that's, yeah. Well,
we should just have a dark Tom's Meme-tastic.
Dark.
It's a private.
Yes. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that somewhere else. But there's a lot. But this story was last week, so it's like, okay, we can still touch on this because we were off last week. So we're going to get it. But you had this dude, and you probably saw it. If you didn't, then you're welcome. You're going to just enjoy the hell out of this. But he's set to appear at court for, are you ready for it? A suspended driver's license. Have you seen this video yet?
Yeah, we put it in Mammoth, so.
Oh, you're right, we did.
This is great.
But he's set to appear at court for a suspended driver's license and is running late. You know, it happens. You shouldn't do that when you're supposed to be somewhere like court. But he's running late and decides just to call in. And
I think it was supposed to be a Zoom call.
Supposed to be a Zoom call.
Anyway,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so it's supposed to be a Zoom call, and I think you're right. Supposed to be a Zoom call, but he calls in, but he's not fixed in a position because he's driving. Take a look.
Assistant Public Defender Natalie Tate for Mr. Harris, who should be present via Zoom.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
Just give me 1 second.
Wait.
I love this, Judge.
You stationary?
I'm pulling in right now at this second. Yes, I am.
All right. What are we doing?
Your Honor, we are respectfully requesting an adjournment in this matter, up possibly 2 to 4 weeks if the court would allow.
So maybe I don't understand something. This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving. And he didn't have a license.
Is with the charges, Your Honor, yes.
No, I'm looking at his
Yes.
record. He doesn't have a license. He's suspended and he's just driving.
That is correct, Your Honor.
I don't even know why he would do that. So defendant's bond is revoked in this matter. Defendant is to turn himself into the Washington County Jail by 6 p.m. today. Failure to turn himself in will result in a bench warrant with no bond.
I mean, first of all, okay, serious, there's some great meat on this bone. First of all, kudos to the judge for just being, there's things that people do these days and they face no time. It's absolutely ludicrous what's happened to our judicial system. We all know that. So kudos to him for saying, I don't care what color you are, what rate, what any of that stuff. I care about what the law says, and you just proved that you're one of the biggest idiots. But the best part about this is obviously you don't show up driving when you're showing up for court for a suspended driver's license. But I love how surprised he is at the end. He's like,
really?
Like, how did this happen? Bro, are you kidding me? Like, I just thought it was so amazing.
I have a lot of sympathy for the driver because he does come across as like a nice guy.
He seems like a nice guy.
Probably not like the brightest guy in the world because he got totally busted on the Zoom driving, but he was wearing a seatbelt. But this just goes to show you the absolute chaos that we have going on. We have millions of people breaking the law every single day living amongst us. And then you have a guy who now has a warrant for his arrest, has to turn himself in, is incurring all these legal fees because he's driving on a suspended driver's license. It's baffling, that you can set up camp outside on a sidewalk in front of somebody's business, and that's totally fine. But this guy, who knows why his license was suspended to begin with?
Right.
But it's just the priorities everything just seems out of whack at this point. We're going to take up jail space for this guy?
Right. Yeah, I mean, he does seem like a nice guy. Dumb as a pile of bricks. But
I think maybe because you look at the judge, I was like, what are we doing here? Maybe the judge had a different mind. If he was sitting in his house on Zoom and everything, it may have been a different story. It may have been a different verdict. Everything, hey, you know what? Yes, you did do this wrong, but we're going to let it slide because we don't want it to. But here he is showing blatantly, like, I'm driving without a driver's license. Good for him to, okay, we have to uphold the law. Like, here we go.
I like when he's going, just a second, I'm pulling in.
That was great. Oh, yeah. Like, he's not recognizing it yet at that point.
Yeah.
Like, just give me a second, Your Honor, I'm parking. And the face of the judge is great. He's kind of like, are you serious right now? Like, are we doing this? So remarkable. I want to touch on a couple sports things, then we're going to go back to Trump. You had former Dallas Cowboys offensive lineman, he's a Hall of Famer, Larry Allen, who has passed away, was on vacation with his family in Mexico, right? Was it in Mexico? And passed away. Just tragic. He was 52 years old, I believe. Way too soon, obviously. You add in the circumstances of you're on vacation with your family. I mean, it's just an awful thing. I mean, this was 11 Pro Bowl selections. 11 Pro Bowl selections.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, too, I mean, was it last week? Bill Walton, right? From NBA?
Yeah.
He passed. I mean, like, it feels like this the last couple of weeks. It's not been.
Yeah. I mean, one of us is probably
close.
Anytime now. Tom just looked down like, shit. No, it is, but it's sad. Tom brought it up. I had missed it, but Tom brought up that it had happened, and obviously thoughts and prayers with the Allen family, his spouse, his children, all of that, and the Cowboys organization. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I mean, side point with this is a serious thing. A young person died too soon, and it doesn't matter your allegiances, it's just the right thing. Sheila Jackson Lee, diagnosed this week with pancreatic cancer. Awful politician. Couldn't disagree with her anymore on any of her issues. But I saw that news and it was a gut. I was like, man, that sucks. That sucks. I really don't like you, but I don't want you to die of pancreatic cancer either. Like that's, and I hope that the people in this audience are the same way. I hope that Americans can be the same way, because as much as we poke fun of people, look, Joe Biden just crapped his pants right now, and he just did it again. But I hope that we can be a little bit better than that. Yes, they're ruining our country. Sheila Jackson's a part of it. I just feel like there's got to be some
balance.
Some balance, like
some compassion.
Yeah, and maybe your initial reaction is like, well, that. Start that way and then reel it back in to normalcy.
Well, that's what you hope with people like in our audience or even on our side of the aisle, whichever side it's on. But you always see people on the far left that are, people were talking about in the chat, like, I had a family member that said death to people who didn't get vaxxed. Like, they jumped to that far extreme. We're the ones that are saying, whoa, like, we're human beings too. But They don't see us that way.
Yeah, they don't. And look, and people disagreeing with me, look, that's fine. I mean, we're all family here. You can approach it how you want. I can't stand the woman. I don't want her kid. I don't know if she has kids or not. I kind of hope she doesn't. But I don't want, kids and spouses to have to deal with that, because you do have, I wouldn't marry someone who has vastly different opinions and ideals than me. I think that sets yourself up for failure. There's a lot of people who do it, though. And you might have someone who has very different views of the world. Anyways, you get the point. They're having to deal with some crazy stuff. And in the case of getting back to Larry Allen, tragic, 52 years old, way too young, and was a stud football player, stud protector for Troy Aikman back in the day.
I was looking at his career, and it listed that he played. I don't know as much about football, of course, as you do, but he played guard, tackle, and center. Is that a difficult transition to go from each of those positions?
Well, I think it can be. I think a lot of them do. Center is a little different animal, but some will. Well, hey, Joe's out. We need to move you from right tackle to left guard, or vice versa. The left tackle's the pinnacle. Those guys are the bosses. Those guys get paid the most because you're typically 90+% of quarterbacks are right-handed, so that's your blind side. So the left tackle is the big one. Doesn't mean they can't play the other spots. It's harder for a right guard to go and be a left tackle, but you will. You'll see that. They'll be your stud left tackle, and then it's the rest of you guys. We're going to put you in your best spot. Put you in your best spot, and then if we have to make some adjustments, we will. Center, again, a little bit more tricky. But here's the thing. People look at football. First of all, people look at football players and they think
they're just a lug.
Dumb jocks. Okay, let me hand you one of the playbook, Scooter, and see if you understand it. And then not just understand it, but understand how each page of the playbook changes in a very fast tempo game. So, because it does. And then you got to make adjustments mentally and physically as that happens. But these linemen are some smart sons of bitches. The stuff that they have to know and how they do, because they make there's checks to the line all the time. The adjustments they have to make, they're smart cookies. All that to say, so to say, hey, Tom, I know you're playing left guard right now. Can you go play right tackle? Or can you go play this? They're sharp dudes. They're sharp dudes. Now, the guy who was just caught driving to court was a big fella. I don't think he could probably make that position switch, but the others for sure. So, okay. So, Caitlin Clark and Kennedy Carter caused quite the stir, quite the drama this weekend in the WNBA, and we've got to talk about it, and we're going to talk about it right now. And some of you are like, I don't want to talk WNBA. I don't care. I didn't used to either, but we're going to do it. I never thought I'd be saying this, but I was watching this game. I've watched several now since Caitlin Clark got up there, was drafted. And this weekend, you had the Chicago Sky. I'm learning all these names now. So proud of myself. Chicago Sky in Indiana. They're playing against the Fever there in Caitlin Clark. And everyone has been going, and we'll talk more about this in a second, but everyone's been going after Caitlin Clark since she got there, which to me makes no sense. I think it's good for ratings. I'll explain that in a second, but makes no sense because she's just elevated everything, and yet everyone somehow hates her, which makes no sense. But they're playing the Chicago Sky, and you had Kennedy Carter, who just a wicked hip check that she gave to Caitlin Clark. Here was this. We've got two shots of it. Here's the wide scene, if you will. Take a look.
Good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
So pretty blatant, right? I mean, you can see it's pretty blatant. And then here's the up close one.
I just wanted to play it again because I didn't see where it was. Bottom right of the screen.
Bottom right. Caitlin Clark's 22 in red for the Indiana Fever.
Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench.
Yeah, no, that was an accident. I slipped.
No technical called, by the way. Here's the close version. Let's show the up close version. You can also kind of, I don't know if it's this clip or not, but you can see Kennedy Carter walk up and say, bitch, blankety blank. Take a look.
And Clark. I mean, that's clear, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter
can we just agree?
Fine example for our young women here.
Pretty aggressive. I'm not saying that I'm not for aggression in sports. I actually kind of am. More on that in a second here. But it's caused a huge stir. But look, this is Tom, you brought up this point earlier. When a young, hot rookie, and I'm not talking looks-wise, she's hot in terms of she's just a stud. I mean, she's draining three-pointers from the logo like she did in college, and she's doing it again. She's been great. Her stats have really been pretty impressive, even at this next level. But when rookies come in, there tends to be this kind of thing. People go after you. The veterans are like, oh, everyone's pumped about you, and it pisses me off, so we're going to go after you. And they attack them. And it just kind of happens all the time, unless your name is Bo Jackson.
The greatest athlete of all time.
God, he was so amazing. I'm not going to say what I was about to say.
No, if people weren't around to see him play, it was really... It was incredible. And I think that those of us that did, I think we took it for granted when we actually saw it going on, because you go back and look at highlights, you're like, holy smokes, you don't see anything like that anymore.
No, you don't at all. And if you were playing Techno Bowl back in Nintendo, look that up, young people watching Nintendo.
You wanted to be Bo Jackson.
But yeah, you wanted to be the Raiders because good luck. You it's like circles all around. No one can tackle him, and then he's in the end zone. But it's typical, right? When Jordan came out, when Shaq came out, Christian Laettner, everyone hated Christian Laettner. That documentary, by the way, everyone hates Christian Laettner. Really good documentary. But everyone does that. The difference is, and Tom, you brought this up, is their teammates had their backs. It does kind of seem like some of Caitlin Clark's teammates have been kind of silent on the issue. Because it's not just, that one was blatant. What Kennedy did to her was blatant. But we've seen a lot. There was a scuffle the other day in the Seattle game. There's all sorts of stuff happening, and it tends to be, and I'm not trying to make this racial, but it tends to be some of the women of a different community that are doing this to her, and they're going hard after her, but her teammates aren't standing up for her.
Yeah, that's the key right there. Your teammates has got to have your back. You're the number one draft choice. You're on a team that is in the basement of the league, and you want to build your franchise around her. You can't let other players
from the other team.
Right.
Yeah, I got you.
Do a total Bill Laimbeer on her. You can't do that. You got to step in and push back. Yeah, Bill Laimbeer was a dirty player. Yeah, there's dirty players in every league, but it's the teammates that have to step up.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, you see it in other sports. You see it in football. If a dirty hit goes to a quarterback,
the offensive line encircles that person immediately.
You see it in hockey. Someone stops and sprays the goalie, or it taps on the pad. The first defenseman's right there to knock him out.
Yeah, the coach has to be like, "What are you guys doing?" She gets nailed to the floor, and all you're doing is picking her up. And you're not going after that person on that team. Take that technical foul. Take that ejection.
Right. Yeah, it's been interesting, and what's I think telling about Kennedy Clark, and I've got another take on this. I'm going to compete with my own self on this take. But what's interesting is after the game, everyone saw it. Everyone saw it. I listen to sports radio most of the time when I'm going in between the studio and the house and running errands and whatnot. And a lot of people were talking about how I wasn't watching the game, but then I heard this happen and I switched over. And I just so happened to be, I was working because we launched the new site, RVM News, this weekend, which I'll tell you more about later, but it's awesome. And we're super pumped about that. But working, and you see it. But everyone kind of comes over, and then after the game, it's this big deal, this big hoopla, all this just frustration and aggression comes out. And Kennedy Clark's asked about it in post-game press conference. Here's how she handled it.
Kennedy, on the play before bumping in with Caitlin, it seemed like she turned to you a little bit after the Fever
I
score.
didn't answer no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
That's enough.
That's enough.
Okay, so I don't like it. I don't like her attitude. This is a chick too, by the way. I've got to pull it up here somewhere. I've got it somewhere. But she's not a rookie like Caitlin Clark is. Caitlin Clark is people are frustrated with her, I should say. But she's played in a couple other organizations and had significant issues because of her attitudes, trying to fight teammates. She's just kind of a brawler, right? That's who she is. That's who Kennedy Carter is. So people flipped out. This is bogus. It should have been a technical. It should have been this. Yada, yada, yada. And I don't think that they're wrong. I don't think that they're wrong for having that opinion. I also don't think that this is bad for the game. What I'm confused about is you've got the WNBA, which I have mocked countless times on this show. If we were to add it up, like it would be like the scene in Hot Shots Part 2 where Charlie Sheen is just smoking that village, and there's the body count and the ammo's stacking up. But you've got a league that was completely irrelevant. Caitlin Clark lit the college basketball world on fire. I started watching college basketball. I never thought that women's college basketball. Never thought that I would. Enjoyed the hell out of it. I think I watched more women's college March Madness this year than the men's, and I watched both a lot. But the other tournament was freaking outstanding. It just was. The basketball, the level, the crowd, all of it was so good. So Caitlin comes in, and she brings that excitement and energy with her. And then somehow these ladies who have been here are just so pissed about it. And they're all literally attacking her, verbally, physically, all of this. And I think that part, because in any script, Tom, you know this, everyone probably knows this, you've got to have a good guy and a villain, right? And you've got your villains, and they've shown who they are. We're looking at you, Kennedy. So you've got to have that, and I think it's good for ratings, and any ratings or good ratings, any press is good press, all of that kind of stuff. But what's fascinating to me is that this league was going nowhere. It was being completely supplemented by their NBA overlords, and now it's packing out arenas. And they're pissed at Caitlin Clark, who's the reason that it's packing out arenas. Like, well, I don't understand. Like, why are you so mad at her? Now people know your name.
Jealousy and envy that's been fostered in our country ever since, some could say since Obama came in. It's always been an undercurrent, but in the past 20 years or so, or actually 18 years, we have fostered an entire environment based on jealousy, in envy, in othering other people. Yeah. And it is playing out in front of our eyes in sports.
It is. So here's some stats. We posted something on RVM News this weekend about that, or about this. The Indiana Fever, of which Caitlin Clark plays for, has already surpassed their entire attendance record for the 2023 season in 5 games. 5 games. They've already last year they averaged 9,551. This year they're averaging 16,571, with the high being 17,274. Their low is 15,022 people. So their low is nearly 6,000 more than the average last year, and then you add it all up, and they're already above. So it's just and people are watching. 36 of the 40 Fever games are on television. No one, you had to it wasn't even on television. I was going to say you had to find the blankety blank network, some made up, tiny ass little network before to see it. But that's not even true. You had to either go to the game or you weren't going to see that many. Now they're on all weekend. There's games throughout the week. The stadiums, the arenas are packed. It just blows my mind. Then you see these women. I hate that girl.
I know, but they're all wearing eyelashes, fake eyelashes and makeup and hair extensions because they know the spotlight's on them. And, good for them. They understand the gravity of the situation. And you know what? If you're gonna play hard against somebody or take cheap shots or whatever, to me, it's part of the game. And like I said before, Caitlin Clark's teammates and the coach need to step up and say, look, we're not going to tolerate that anymore. She's a marked person, so let's just get out there and, if she gets fouled hard, get into it.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree. I agree. Bottom line, the ripple effect of Caitlin Clark is lifting all boats. I don't really like that whole analogy that everyone always uses, but it is.
Well, I feel like she's changing the game of WNBA. She's raising that bar so that there's going to be other athletes growing up. They're going to try to strive to be like her, be better. Everyone wanted to be like Mike. Every girl's going to want to be like Caitlin, and it's going to just make the league better.
Yeah,
it's going to, and we're going to start. We're going to be like, did you watch the WNBA game?
I also think she's sparking an interest in female sports across the board.
I think that is too, and that's going to be part of our question of the day here in a second, because I think you're right. I think it's not just lifting the WNBA and female or women's basketball. It's lifting all women's sports, maybe incrementally. But it's not going down. It's going the right direction. And to be clear, too, just to wrap this up, look, I wouldn't do things the way, I don't know, when you're competing, you do it a little differently. As a civilian now, I wouldn't do things the way Kennedy did it, and I certainly wouldn't have her attitude after the game. But as I was saying before, I think it's good for the game. Caitlin, also, people are pointing out, well, she shoves people and she plays rough and talks smack, too. She does. She's a chippy player. So I think bottom line, it's good for the game to have some people you hate, some people you love. That's only going to help the WNBA going forward. End of story.
Yeah.
All right, do you have a bell ready, Disco? Do you remember the bell? Because it's time for the question of the day. Question of the day is this. Do you think Caitlin Clark's impact on women's basketball is also carrying over to other women's sports? Tom has set it up. Send your responses in. Again, do you think Caitlin Clark's impact on women's basketball, you could start it last year in college to this year in the WNBA, whatever, they're actually the same year because she had like 2 weeks off before, poor thing. But do you think that her impact is carrying over to other women's sports? Send your responses in. We'll get to them. As you're sending your responses in, I want to talk to you about something real quick, though. You've got America's food supply, which is under attack. And something that we all love, beef, is the primary target. And you've got it being targeted with everything from climate change and cow farts and the ridiculous stuff you're hearing about that, to bird flu being wielded against cattle, all of it happening. So keep that in mind, because it behooves Americans, all of us here, to stock up on long-term storage beef, and we've got the solution. PrepareWithBeef.com is a veteran-owned company that sells premium steaks with a 25-year shelf life. You've got ribeyes, guys. There's New York strips, tenderloin, sirloin. They don't sell the beef crumbles or beef chunks that other survival companies sell. At PrepareWithBeef.com, my listeners can take 25% off with promo code RVM. Stock up now before cricket burgers become a thing by going to PrepareWithBeef.com. Use promo code RVM to get that 25% off. Look, guys, in a survival scenario, eat something that you want to eat. That's why I love partnering with these guys, is you see the meals ready to eat. I've eaten lots of MREs in my life, and weeks later I went to the bathroom. And we have lots of MRE type food at the house. But you look at it and you're like, I hope we never get here. I really don't want to be at this point. This is literally American beef, different cuts, sous vide, freeze-dried, packaged and sent to you. You just activate it with water, and you're good to go. And you've got actual steak that you're eating. So if you're doing it right, that's the way to do it in my view. I think it's great. Go to preparewithbeef.com. Okay, question was, do you think Caitlin Clark's impact on women's basketball is carrying over to other women's sports? Let's get some answers. Barb said, I have no clue. Ginger, no really. Or not really, excuse me. Judy, I don't watch sports. I do remember hearing about her, though. And Jill just wants steak now. But I honestly think it is. And I say it on a personal level. I'm not saying this is what's true for everyone, but on a personal level, in the last several weekends, I have watched, and again, you guys have heard me make fun of, I'm a huge sports guy, you know that. You've heard me make fun of women's sports for a long time. Not the women playing it, just the women's sports. I've watched some college softball games. I've watched multiple WNBA games. I loved the Women's March Madness this year. And you see all this, and you see all of it going. Usually I go to you first. I'm just jumping the gun and answer. I think that it absolutely has. I think the ripple effect, maybe it's more subtle and other things. I'm not saying that women's lacrosse is like going to have a booming year. I'm not saying that, but like the main sports are getting some love from this.
Yeah, I think so. At least for myself, I found myself, like you were talking about, I was watching the College Softball World Series over the weekend, and also the LPGA, which is
U.S. Open.
I have never done that before in my entire life, only because of the rise of Caitlin Clark. It caused me to start looking into women's sports, and come at it and view it from a different perspective, knowing that their skill level is not going to be the same as male athletes. And for me, I can appreciate their skill level in how competitive they are.
Yeah.
And also, I like things that aren't mainstream. And so,
no, you don't say. You?
I told you, man, when I sent you those videos of Serbian basketball, I had no idea what a rabbit hole I was going down, but it is sensational. And I find the same thing with female sports. You know, it's another avenue to look at from a different perspective for myself as a fan now.
Yeah. No, I agree. Barb says boredom set into you guys in your downtime. You had to watch. There's maybe a little bit of that, but you know, I mean, honestly, and this is where we're at with the show is we're gonna still do news and politics. We're gonna still do the stuff that brought us here, but there's just so much doom and gloom and frustration out there where it's like I love sports, you know that. Football's done, hockey's almost done.
Gosh.
NBA is almost done, and I wasn't doing NBA, and then my Timberwolves went on a heater, and then like all Minnesota sports teams just completely ripped my soul out. But it's, I'm trying to find the things that bring joy and devastation.
I feel like we should show him Drew's corner now. You should just walk over there.
To the corner?
To the corner.
Well, you can see it. I mean, we're judging things up a little bit differently here. I'm not even wearing shoes right now. But we've got stuff in here that we like with sports and wrestling. By the way, it's Ted DiBiase's $1 million belt from the 80s. He was a prophet in the 1980s and early 90s. Loved money. But point being is you got to find some things that give you a break. We're going to try and do that here as well in terms of what we talk about, what we watch. So it was partially boredom, but then it led to holy crap, there's some good stuff. There's Florida, Oklahoma playing softball on one of the studio screens right now. So some things have pivoted a little bit there, I guess. But here's you mentioned the LPGA. You guys all know who John Daly is, right? Large, just larger than life, literally physically and in terms of his personality, dude on the golf course. Always smoking cigarettes, always drinking, just being.
I love watching.
He's just a hell raiser.
If you don't follow him on social media, please do. It is a delight because he's always just doing something where all of a sudden he's just like, hang on, crushes his beer, and then he'll go do a golf shot or something, and it's fantastic.
He's usually barefoot too.
Yeah,
he is. Yeah,
smoking a cig.
Yeah,
and he's got beautiful women around him all the time.
Well, so you've got the Caitlin Clark excitement going on. You've got all this stuff. And now the LPGA, which has been historically pretty boring, right? You've got some really outstanding Asian golfers. You've got some Paige Sporonic did her thing for a little bit, didn't last long. Now she just does stuff online and shows her breasts. But you've got it's just boring. It historically has been boring. Not anymore. You've got Charlie Hull, who's, by the way, a hell of a golfer. I think 8th in the world.
Yes.
In the women's rankings, who is now channeling her inner John Daly. This is her at the Women's U.S. Open signing autographs. Check out this chick right here. Just look at this clip and look at what she's doing. Sig in the mouth.
Is she Russian? Is she Russian?
She's
John Daly.
British.
So she's got a fag, then. That's what they would call it.
Is that what they'd call it? I mean, can we say that on the show?
That's what they call it, cigarette. No, it is a fag. Yeah. Come on.
And we just got kicked off YouTube. Thanks, let's go. But I mean, she's She just leaned into it, like what? And maybe it's a publicity stunt. She's done it before. I forget the event, but she's done it before at an event. But just leaned into it, like, you know what? This is who I am. This is how I'm going to do it. And I'm not a pro cigarette smoker. I am a cigar smoker. So call me a hypocrite, whatever. But I just love that scene. I love it, just hanging out, like not even touching the cig, just
no.
You know.
Yeah, she's got a lung dart hanging out, and the ash on her lung dart is huge.
Yeah.
And she's taken a couple of drags.
She's a pro. Yeah. She's a pro.
And she's signing autographs. And, everybody knows that smoking is bad and this and that. With that aside, I will tell you this. From a background in entertainment, smoking looks so glamorous on camera, and especially when a hot chick is doing it,
yeah.
Makes it even more amazing.
No, and yeah.
Well, the thing
if you want an interesting Instagram journey,
well, the thing I like about what she's doing here is also they're exposing, like, after the broadcast. Here's what's going on. They're real people. These golfers are real people.
Right.
Because you go to a tournament and you'll see pros smoking or whatever doing stuff, but they never show it on camera. They never show them. Like it's always perfect when it's on the broadcast. Right. So that when you're there, you see these things. So no one would normally see that.
Right.
And the fact that someone put, like, great, show them that they're real people.
Right.
Because that'll make you want to go watch them.
Yeah, you want an edge. That's why Happy Gilmore 2's coming out. Like, you want something a little different, a little more pizzazz.
Yeah. Well, that's like the Kentucky Derby coverage. They never show the jockeys going into the bathroom and setting the divers in so they can make weight.
That's true.
It's a visual, yeah.
We'll move on real quick. Speaking of random stuff, I started watching F1 last night with my wife on Netflix. We're not big F1 people.
The documentary.
Yeah, it's like a docu-series.
Yeah.
There's 6 seasons, like 10 episodes a season. I've gotten into F1 a little bit.
Scott Dixon won the Detroit Grand Prix yesterday.
Did he? I didn't watch yesterday, but we did watch the documentary, and it's so well done. That's a cool world.
That documentary series was one of the first sport on Netflix that came out like that. After that, they had a PGA one that came out that was really good as well. Like that kind of sparked stuff in the docu-series genre, and they did such a good job with that series.
They did. Ginger, the Olympics start July 26th or something like that.
It's right after the Tour de France.
See, now, if something's gone wrong, I'm bored if I've gotten into that, because Disco's always loved that, and I respect that he loves that. I just never have. If that's kind of like, if Drew's really getting into the Tour de France, call someone.
Growing up, my dad watched it every year, never watched it. And they didn't really televise it that much either. But then when Lance Armstrong first started coming in, he was riding for 7-Eleven and doing all this stuff. And then, he gets cancer and all stuff. Then it started getting a bigger buzz in America. And I remember watching his first time he won the yellow jersey. But I was so confused. I didn't understand the sport at all. I was just like, they're just riding.
Right.
What's so exciting? Like, he won. No, he didn't win.
I bet his butt hurt.
Like,
those seats are so hard.
But then once you understand, because it's a layer, once you understand the layers of the sport, then you can watch it and you're like, this is exciting. It's just 4 guys riding a bike in frame. Yeah, it's just so it's a hard sport to follow if you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And I'll be honest, I don't. I don't. But let's make a hard turn back to, I guess that's the new hard turn sign. To I want to get that into.
We have time.
Let's make a hard turn back to Trump, because we talked about Trump and UFC and all of that earlier. We talked about Trump fundraising like crazy, $50+ million in the aftermath of the convictions. And then they made a smart move. I think that this has been a dumb thing for the longest time. Trump not getting back on X. Trump not getting back on Legacy Social once he was approved to do it and just staying on Truth Social, I think has been a calculated error. Just a big mistake. You know what I'm trying to say. Big mistake. And I'm not a fan of most of the fringe things in the first place, just to be clear, and you guys have known that. I haven't changed my policy on that. But I think if you're running for president or you're a big public figure like he is, you need the good of all of them, especially when you're trying to get people back in your good graces or get people to your side for the first time ever. Still hasn't done any of those, but he joined TikTok. He joined TikTok, and that son of a gun. I mean, so for reference, the Biden-Harris account, like for political purposes, has 344,000 people. They joined, I don't know, it's been a while, months and months and months ago. 340, great account. If you're a TikToker, you're like thrilled. Like, I'd love to have 346,000 people. Trump joined just the other day, surged to 3.6 million in like no time. I mean, we're days into it. 3.6 million followers on TikTok. He posted a video from the UFC event we talked about. That one had, when we were pulling together stories for the shows earlier, it's probably higher now. At the time, it had over 62 million views. That's quite the difference. 346,000 over several months to damn near 4 million over several days. And you've got a video that's approaching 65, 70 million. It might be more at this point in time as I'm even saying this right now. But this was a huge and smart move because I've always said, look, I don't care if you like Trump, don't like Trump. I really don't. Vote for whoever the hell you want. We've got our views and policies here, but this is America. You can do whatever you want. But if you're Trump, and one of the things that I'll pick on him for a lot, love a lot of the things about him, but one of the things I'll pick on him for is you need to go and get new people. You need to get new people. Your base loves you so much to the point where it's a little concerning how much parts of your base love you so much, but you've got them. You've got them in the bag. You need the soccer moms, the independents, and everyone, left and right. Everyone needs the younger demographic. They're dumb as a pile of bricks, the dumbest generation ever. But you still need to get their vote. You've still got to convince them how to do that. How do you do it? Well, where do I find a bunch of young, dumb kids? TikTok. That's where you go. It's like the classified ads for young, dumb kids. That's what TikTok is. So you go there, and typically conservatives don't do that well there, but your name's Donald Trump, so you do. You can blow things up. I think it's such a smart move. And not only is he already crushing what the left has in terms of followers and exposure, but man, I hope that he does it on the other spots. Bro, get on X. I'm not a huge fan of X. I think what Elon's doing is interesting. I'm not saying I trust the guy. You guys, as soon as I say that, everyone's like, I don't trust him. I'm not saying I trust him. I'm just saying that they're making good strides, and he's got millions of followers there, and that would grow even more if he came back. Get out there. Get out there and share your message. The other side is doing everything they can to make sure you're not able to run for president or can't get into the Oval Office again. Get everywhere that you can. I think the TikTok move was smart.
Oh, it was very smart because now it puts the Biden administration into a corner because the TikTok ban, which I was totally opposed to, passed the House and the Senate. Biden hasn't signed it yet. So now Trump is on TikTok. If he keeps putting out videos and getting his message out there, and then Biden goes to ban TikTok,
right?
Then it's going to come back and bite him between, the voting block of 18 to 35-year-olds. So they're in quite a tough spot right now, whether to keep it going so he can get his message out to younger people or ban it and Biden looking like, the communist that he is.
Yeah. No, that is a fascinating point and side story to it because that's very much in play. And I don't, as a part of this conversation and a side of this conversation, however we're describing it, I don't understand if you're a younger kid. I know if you're paid, like Harry Sasson or however you say his name, no one cares. Your parents don't even like you. But I know that if you're paid to do it, that's one thing. But if you're in the younger generation, you can't connect with Joe Biden on anything.
No.
There's no, I can so relate to him on that.
Did you see him putting on the Kansas City Chiefs helmet?
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
And then he said, well, I was going to go to the Naval Academy, but they had a guy named Roger Staubach in the backfield and another guy, and so I decided to go to Delaware. And it's like, all right, if I was a high school wide receiver and I had the chance to go and play on a team where Roger Staubach was throwing me the ball, that's where I'd be going.
Yeah.
That whole story, that whole scene didn't make any sense at all.
No, not a damn thing he says makes a whole lot of sense. It just doesn't.
I think what's awesome about his TikTok here, and I'll move my mic so you guys can see it, but like this is his page. He has one video.
Yeah, one video.
One video, 69.7 million views, 4.3 million followers. Anyone would kill for that right there.
So it's up to 4.3 since gathering the notes and the stories for the day. It's gone from 3.6 to 4.3 and almost 70 million views on like you said,
one video. It's not 67 accumulated over thousands of videos.
Right.
One video.
That's astonishing. That's next level. Well, and I think that, I mean, really, here's the concerning thing. If you're them, you've got these convictions, July 11th sentencing 4 days before the Republican National Convention, which is obviously a very politically motivated, bogus decision, but purposeful decision if you're the other side. But if you're them, the scary thing about this, and then we're going to move on. But the scary thing about this is you've got a side so committed to keeping this man out. And I've said it multiple times on the show. I don't care who you like for president. I don't care if you like Trump or not. You should all be seeing right now how the justice system has been weaponized. You should all be seeing right now how desperate they are to prevent Donald Trump from being back in the White House. And what's scary, and if you look at a history book, and you look at specifically an American history book, and you look at our country and the lengths that we're willing to go, and look, I'll be honest, I worked for some of these places, but the lengths of which they're willing to go, the scary thing is what comes next. If they can't get any of these now charges, they can call him a felon now. They might even throw him in prison, and we've all said for a long time here on this show, that if they can do that, they will, just for the headline alone. Is worth a lot to them. But if that doesn't work, where does it go? And I'm not going to say it, but I think we all know there's really only one very terrifying option left. And that's an option that no one should want regardless of whether you like him or not, because that's an option that takes our country somewhere you don't want to go. So I hope that we can move on from this experiment that we've been doing for the last 4 years. And we can try and get some things back on track.
But it's working in their eyes.
It's working brilliantly in their eyes. Yeah. It's going swimmingly according to plan for the other side. It's crazy. All right, I've got a couple things I want to touch on before we get out of here. One, just a side point, Vikings fans out there, Skull, Justin Jefferson signed to a new mega deal, highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Some of you guys will say, no one's worth that much money. You shouldn't make that much. I totally agree with you. Unless it's a Minnesota Viking and it's something that I want. Again, you got to remember, back in the day, Adrian Peterson beat his kid. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And anyone else would be like, he deserves to be put in jail. It's like, bro, like the kid was awful. Like he should play on Sunday.
Yeah, he needs to play on Sunday still.
I can change my standards real quick if you're on my team.
Oh, they did with Ray Lewis too.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, it's like, who cares? He deserves to be murdered. That's what true fans do.
Was it Vic who did the dog fighting?
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't think his career ever really rebounded.
No, it didn't. He had a decent run, but it was nothing like the original run. Yeah. Anyways, JJ signed, so things looking good for us season ticket holders in Minnesota. Speaking of the NFL, I've got this and then one other thing, then we'll get out of here for today and go from there. But it's the month of gay. And so you've got people everywhere, corporations, sports leagues, you name it. People you work with, your friends, family, just they're changing their social media profile pictures, they're posting stuff, going through all sorts of just making sure everyone knows where they stand on the issue, even if they don't stand there. And that's what's remarkable about it to me is you see all these people sharing stuff on social media. It's like, I don't know if you actually believe this. You feel like you're supposed to do it. If you really believe it, by all means, post it. But a lot of you are just posting it because anyways, you get what I'm saying. The NFL's always been in that bucket. So have all the major sports leagues. There's pressure to do this. Some of them really are all in on it. Some of them just there's pressure and you got to do it, or you face the woke mob. But in the month of June, we've already seen 21 teams. My math right here, 21. Yeah, 21 teams post stuff in the NFL celebrating Pride Month, which again I think should just be America Month. Let's stop having gay months. I'm not saying gay because it is Gay Month. Let's just stop having gay months in general. Black History Month, Gay Month, the month for the Quakers that everyone celebrates. I don't know, is that a thing?
I
Probably not. But just every month's America Month. That should be the rule.
I think we should visit the whole Gregorian calendar and the reason why it was changed.
Every month. So 21 teams have posted stuff, but 11 did not. 11 were silent. And to be clear, this doesn't mean that they're anti-gay. I don't think they are at all. Doesn't mean that they're anti-this, anti-that. They're just not posting. They're going to take heat for it. You're going to have people on our side of the aisle who probably say, those are my favorite teams now. It's like, well, slow down there a second. But the 11 teams, Pittsburgh Steelers, Cleveland Browns, Cincinnati Bengals. So we're very AFC North heavy already, by the way. Tennessee Titans, Kansas City Chiefs, Denver Broncos, Dallas Cowboys, Detroit Lions, Green Bay Packers, New Orleans Saints, and the Atlanta Falcons, who are soon to be facing a tampering charge for taking our quarterback from Minnesota, which I'm glad it worked that way. But 11 teams silent, which is kind of a surprising figure to me.
Yeah, it is a rather surprising figure, but then you go down and you look at these cities, and I don't see these cities being, like a Miami, a San Francisco, where they have like an overly huge gay population. So It kind of makes sense.
No, I agree. But here's my takeaway from all this. Look, I knew the Minnesota Vikings, who obviously I'm a big fan of, were going to post something. I knew they were. That's the kind of state. The Twin Cities are that way. The state's not that way. I knew most people were going to. The Washington Commanders or Redskins were, they're supporting a big event there. They went next level. There's some other people who went next level with it. And then there's people who are just silent on it. I think it's great. I love it because, to me, and we all, I think, can agree on this, those 11 teams and really all those teams, unless you're like, hey, our PR person and our team president, our team owner is a part of that community, and thus we're passionate. Is it like, if it doesn't matter to you, then don't post about it.
There's the Commanders post.
Yeah, there it is. Love
Football is for everyone.
Come out to the Capitol Pride DC Parade and Festival on June 8th and 9th to celebrate Pride.
Who's saying football isn't for everyone?
Yeah.
No one is saying that.
It's literally the most opposite messages ever. It's so dumb. But again, you get criticized for saying nothing, and then it's presumed that like you say nothing, it's you're racist or you're a xenophobe, you're a whatever. No.
We're living the Seinfeld ribbon episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
We are. We absolutely are.
You don't want to wear the ribbon. Why don't you want to wear the ribbon?
You guys saw the clip while we were off how they came up with the Titleist golf ball speech with the whale. I know we showed it on Mammoth, but did you see that?
Yeah.
I love that's such a great.
What did we show? I don't remember.
So Jerry was on a podcast. He goes, "Oh, here's something I've never talked about before." And he talks about remember the episode where Kramer's hitting golf balls into the ocean?
The sea was angry.
The sea was angry. So that monologue, it was the night before they were going to film the show, and they're like, he's like, "Hey, we need to put something." We need to add something. We need to tie it to Kramer somehow. And so they wrote it all night. They stayed up, and then they gave it to him and said, "You have an hour to deliver this." And he does the whole thing. But they were waiting for approval from Titleist all day, all this stuff. But that made the show. To me, I would have thought that episode was written around that bit, but that wasn't written until the night before they filmed it.
And all of filming hinged on the fact that Titleist had to sign off on it, because Titleist is such an iconic name in golf products that you couldn't have Dunlop or something.
Was it a Titleist?
Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know.
You talked about it. That's funny.
But you know me. I literally, when we're done with this show,
delete.
I will have forgotten everything we've talked about. It doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the experience. I've enjoyed all of our time with you. We're so glad to be back. But I mean, I'll get home and my wife will be like, "So how was the show?" I don't know. What'd you talk about? I don't know. I just kind of blacked out. Like it just happened, and then now I'm here, and that's what happened. Okay, got to squeeze in one last thing. I just want to show this. So I know that we do more sports now than we used to, and you just got to bear with us. We love you. Please love us back. But we don't normally do midget sports.
Nope, we don't.
Right? Side point, we're coming out of WWE's here on our break, and we're leaving the arena downtown Jacksonville, and outside there's a bar right there, and they've got live midget wrestling. They've got a ring set up. Like all this hoopla, I'm like trying to see what it is. My kids are like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, greatness is happening right now." This is
where dreams come true.
But that was quite amazing. But there's just weightlifting competitions. There's bodybuilding. There's competitions for everything. You just got to go and search and find them. Just use like Tom's VPN to protect yourself. But there's a weightlifting competition, and there's this midget who's doing it. We're not picking on midgets here. We're just showing.
By the way, the production on the stage here is phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Very, very strong. We're just showing this clip. So this is, I think, a competition in Mexico this year, and they take this little guy and they strap him down to the bench so he can try and get his record. He'd already won the competition. Apparently, this is like an extra thing for like a PR.
Well, no, I think from what I'm getting is he had already won it from his previous bench, but he still had to complete a bench. So they decided, let's beat your personal record or whatever record it is.
Okay.
Let's do that here. You've already won the event. Even if he didn't clear it, he still would have gotten first.
Still would have gotten first, yeah.
But so this was just him. Let's just try to break a record.
Yeah. So let's take a look. Let's watch him do it.
So here we go. An Elite America's record for Pablo Ramirez Barrientos. Already got the gold medal locked away. Let's see if he can
feel strong.
Busca de nuevo récord americano.
And he does just that. 2 out of the 3 referees say that's a good lift. And Pablo Ramirez Barrientos, he's the gold medal winner here in Acapulco.
Okay, so again, he'd already won. But can we go back there, Disco, and let's just do the actual press?
Yeah, I've got a lot of questions about this.
Because
I'll mute it so we can.
By the way, Foster comes in. I come back, and the first thing is midget sports. Yes, welcome back, Foster. But this, so it's let's just mute it. This is for his PR, and he goes up and he goes down. But let's look at the distance traveled. Just getting some breaths out. I'm gonna go down and 2 inches, maybe up 1. I mean.
Yeah, he moved further down than he did up.
Lock your elbows or something.
You do, and here's the thing: I'm not picking. Literally, I'm not picking on him for being a small person. I think that there's fascinating things that surround small people.
So I don't know.
Some serious, not serious. But, bro, like, if you're strong, like, he's a strong dude. He's a strong dude. But if your physical makeup is such that you only have to traverse 2 inches, that's different than.
No, well, exactly. I mean, I competed in high school and stuff, and it's you bring it down, you wait for them to say push, and you have to lock your elbows,
right.
And then you have to hold it until they say you're done. He just goes, and then he's like, "Yeah, I did it!" Like, wait, that like is me as a competitor going. I didn't hear him say press, and I didn't hear him say clear. You see him go clear, like with the hand. But I was like, that wasn't a press. He pressed more after they said clear to put it on the rack. It just blows my mind.
It's something. Well, we ended on midgets today.
We need to refer to the Mexican powerlifting handbook.
Handbook.
Yes, we do. And find the small print to just really make sure we've got that dialed in. Guys, it's so good to be back with you. It really is. Thanks for being patient for what was going to be days and turned out to be weeks upon weeks upon weeks. But we are here now. I stand up now. It's just all different. Tom's hair is shorter and just looks fantastic. I mean, disco's just disco.
I mean, I did get a haircut.
He did get a haircut. Yeah, he did. So, no, we're glad to be back with you guys. Thanks so much for being here. Please do hit that like button wherever you're watching on the way out. Make sure you come back. We're Monday through Thursday. We're 3 p.m. Eastern. We're here to have some fun. We're here to talk about all sorts of stuff. It's going to be a good time. We're pumped to be back. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow right back here. Be safe, be smart, be free.